Welcome back to Mike Jerk Media. Today we are starting a new series. What are we calling it? Stories of the Clone Wars. Yeah, so basically we're going to go over like story arcs that happen in the Clone Wars, and yeah, this is going to be a long journey.
Yeah, so we're also going to do it in complete chronological order. So if you guys didn't know this, the Clone Wars is not in chronological order, just by the seasons. It's not even close.
Yeah, we're those people.
I found this list a while ago, and I was like, well, we could break it up into arcs. So like when you watch like the Clone Wars movie, and then you watch a little bit of the Clone Wars season 1 and season 2 specifically, you'll see these episodes that are random throughout it, but it's all of the Battle of Christophsis. I don't know why.
We're also sorry. We're gonna butcher that name.
Yeah, I keep
Christophus.
We've been sitting here for 10 minutes trying to figure out how to say this the correct way.
And even if it's one of those things that I don't think I could say correctly 10 times in a row.
I mean, yeah, like we were just talking about beforehand, when Anakin says Senator Organa, I almost messed it up just because
you butchered everything. Senator Organa.
Yeah, instead of Organa, like it's just, I don't know, it's just a little goofy, but you know. It's all those different things. So,
Christophus.
The first arc in chronological order is the Battle of Christophsis.
First, I have trouble saying chronological.
Right. But it is Season 2, Episode 16, Season 1, Episode 16, and then the first third of the Clone Wars movie.
By the way, a third estimation.
It's about an estimation. So, you'll see in the movie where
about an estimation? That's what an estimation is.
I don't know. But you'll see in the movie they're in the Battle of Christophsis, and then they go off, and then it's the rest of the movie, and has nothing to do with the battle.
Yeah. So like kind of how that starts, we kind of start with Anakin.
Well, first off, I wanted to, every episode we do, I'm going to say the quote that Dave Filoni pulled out of his ass.
Might as well play the intro.
Right.
I don't have it ready.
But the quote that Dave Filoni just pulls out of his ass before every Clone Wars episode. So for the first one, a wise leader knows when to follow.
Who is he talking about?
I have no idea. I was thinking about it.
I'm assuming Obi-Wan following Anakin's lead.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because Anakin doesn't listen to a goddamn thing he says.
Yeah, but I don't feel like he followed Anakin into anything. I have no idea. I was thinking throughout
he followed
the episode,
his plan.
No, he didn't. He told him no.
Then he let Anakin do what he did, and then it worked.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about it the whole episode. I couldn't think of exactly what it was supposed to be for, but whatever, I guess.
Oh, wait, say it one more time.
A wise leader knows when to follow.
I don't know.
No, I have no clue.
I feel like it has to be Obi-Wan. Or I guess it could be Admiral following Anakin's plan.
Because it's like it's the first battle they were with together for sure. And
Try to say that name.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Admiral's name. We looked it up.
What? It's not that hard.
I
just forgot. Is it Yularen?
Looking at the name versus how Anakin says it in the episode, I don't have it on here, but it didn't sound how it was spelled, at least what I remember watching it last night. But so basically, we're starting the Battle of Christophsis, and Anakin's job is to get supply ships to Jesus.
This would be a tongue twister ass episode.
There's so many things that's like, okay, like
Chris Christopherson,
Christophesis, Bail Organa,
chronological.
But basically,
shipments shipping to Shippets.
Basically, the beginning of the episode starts with Anakin struggling because, I mean, they're outnumbered really bad at Christophsis, and that's a hell of a name for a planet. But he's trying to get supply ships to Bail Organa, and he's really struggling with it.
Now you're saying Organa.
I know. I don't know. I was sitting here, and I'm like, fuck. But
Bail Organa.
So basically, we're going through, and Anakin's struggling really bad. Ships are going down left and right. Obi-Wan's supposed to come and be like reinforcements for Anakin. He's late to the party, and we find out real quickly because we know how sassy Obi-Wan is to just in general.
Good job.
But towards Anakin, and he's like, "I told you not to engage," and Anakin's just like, "Well, I already did." You know, like
it wasn't my fault. I just fired first.
Just immediately the nostalgia Clone Wars feel, like they're just being sassy with each other, and I don't know. I just had like this warm feeling in my heart. I was like, "Oh, I miss this so much." I haven't
If you guys
watched.
don't know, we've seen all of it.
I've seen all of it.
This is kind of
multiple
like
times.
refreshing us going back through.
It's been such a long time since I've seen it though, and I was just nostalgia was really hitting me.
Yeah, dude. Like as soon as the intro popped up, I was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of start the battle, and then we immediately see who is controlling the separatist ships, and it's. I hate this character. I hate Trench so much. I don't know if you guys like. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but you can look him up. It's what is he considered?
Admiral.
Admiral. That's what I thought. Admiral Trench. He is a giant spider. It's just I fucking hate it. And he always does that thing with his mouth, and he's always like stroking his one fang. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
And he's got this cane that kind of looks like a.
It's like
wand.
it's like flimsy though.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's
I don't
literally
know.
it looks like a whip. Like he's gonna hit a battle droid with it.
I don't know, but we get to see the Admiral and Anakin's cruiser. We'll figure out his name one time. We looked at how it was spelled and
Yularen,
is it Yularen? I don't know. We're gonna have to.
maybe.
I don't know. We're gonna have to hear it in the episode again, but just to know how to pronounce it. But anyways,
We're starting off hot, guys.
right. We get to see him talking to Anakin because he started to recognize the tactics of Trench's fleet and stuff like that, and he thought he remembered who it was. And Admiral,
We skipped.
not really,
I mean, kinda.
not really.
We didn't talk about the ship yet.
Well, they're about to leave on the ship after what I'm telling you, so it's kind of just
I know,
they're
we
right
didn't
on
talk about the ship.
They're right on top of each other. We can go back to it, but the Admiral's telling Anakin about who Trench is and stuff like that, and supposedly he's supposed to be dead. He was supposed to die at the Battle of Malastare, and he
We'll get to the Battle of Malastare at some point. Not in the Clone Wars, but we'll talk about it at some point.
I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. It clearly is not in the Clone Wars because if this is the first chronological thing in the Clone Wars outside of Geonosis that we've seen on TV. I mean, we kind of can't talk about Malastare right this second, but yeah, so supposedly he died in the Battle of Malastare, and Anakin seemed a little worried about it.
I think he has such a reputation. Like, he has a reputation for being a very tactile person.
Well, I don't know if it was because like the Admiral was worried, obviously, because it's
because they
Trench.
lost a lot of men that day. I think he said, like, I don't know how, like, that almost sounded like a quote from him. We
Yeah.
lost a lot of men in that battle.
Yeah, and it kind of worried Anakin. It was kind of weird to see that because Anakin's like so arrogant and so like, oh, I can do whatever. But like it was really interesting that he was kind of worried that he was going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
But basically what he was just referring to is Obi-Wan brought a new toy, quote from the movie or quote from the show.
By the way, this thing looks like a Harry Potter wand.
And it's a stealth ship to try to sneak the supplies in to get something down to the ground.
In layman terms, it goes invisible.
Yeah.
And I, honestly, like, one of the dumbest looking ships in Star Wars.
It is one of the...
It's a giant, like, bullet.
Yeah, it is very interesting looking. I forgot how goofy looking it was until I rewatched it last night, and I was like, ew.
It just doesn't, like, I guess it'd be cool because, like, you can carry a lot of cargo in a way and still be, like, if you're head on facing somebody, there's a very small target.
Yeah.
But...
And Obi-Wan also informed Anakin that this is the first field test.
You're the test dummy.
It has never been used before. Granted, it wasn't visible when we got to see it for the first time. So, like, it was invisible, and then he, like, made it to where we could see it again. But, like, so clearly it went invisible, but, like, at the same time, it's never flown. Like, it hasn't flown before.
No, that's not what he meant. It's flown before. It's never been, like, field tested.
I guess, yeah.
It's never
but-
been tested against the enemy's technology.
I mean, that's scary. They're like,
Yeah.
can it be picked up by radar? And he's like, I don't know. Technically, it shouldn't.
He was like, from what we've done, it hasn't been picked up on our radars, but...
Yeah, so obviously, I guess we skipped a little bit to where we didn't say that Anakin, like, fell back from the battle because, like, obviously he already engaged, and he fell back to talk to Obi-Wan and, like, regroup and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, they're hiding behind the planet's moon.
so as they, like, take off in the stealth ship, Trench is talking to the tactical droid, and he's just like, what's taking him so long? I don't understand. Like, we know there's Jedi here. There's no way. Yeah, Yeah. I hate that.
I hate it
It's
too.
disgusting.
It sounds like he's like chewing on what's the stuff that comes in packages? The white stuff. Why am I like styrofoam almost?
Cocaine. Packing peanuts.
Why cocaine?
I don't know,
Why
you
was
said-
cocaine? We're it's running spice in here.
You said white stuff. I thought it was
Yeah,
funny.
in a package.
Yeah.
I didn't say a bag.
Anyways, so Trench's good idea was to try to draw them back out, obviously. So he sent the hyena bombs. That's what they're called.
Bombers.
Bombers. Yeah, the hyena bombers. I told you I had the name for it. That's what he called them, the hyena bombers.
Yeah, and they're like these like. I hate these droids too. I hate a lot of things about these episodes.
Yeah, there's some stuff that we get to see because obviously in a TV show you get to expand on more things outside of just the main story. And there's a lot of species and stuff we get to see that's like if you have arachnophobia, seeing Trench is like, oh my god, like you're not gonna like looking at him.
Like I say, I don't have arachnophobia, but I have a fear of spiders.
That's what arachnophobia is.
That was the joke.
I have a fear of Admiral Trench. A giant.
I'm
ass
afraid of
spider.
Star Wars spiders. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, not even a fucking question. Like,
He just looks like wet and hairy all the time too.
so Anakin thinks it's a great idea because they start bombing the city, right? And people are going to start dying. They don't have any supplies. They don't have any backups down there. And they have some weapons on the ship. They're not very great weapons, but they're like, you can only use the weapons if you decloak
Yeah.
the ship.
It's the same thing as if you have your shields up, you can't fire. At least at this time in the Clone Wars.
So Anakin has a great idea to try to bomb like the bridge that they're on.
Trench's like
Trench's-
command ship
yeah.
bridge. Yeah.
To because of the bombings, he's like kind of mad about it because he's like people are dying down there right now, and he felt like that was the best option. Which I'm like, okay,
So obviously Obi-Wan contacted him like, hey, you need to get to the surface. And he was like, well, I'm going to fire at this command ship first, and then we'll go to the surface. To where Obi-Wan was like, you shouldn't.
he hung up the call with him. It was funny. Also, one of the clones, I actually wrote this down because I thought it was funny. One of the new clone that they brought onto the ship looked at the like veteran and was like, why are we changing the plan and this and that? Like, we're supposed to be on the defensive here. And the other clone's like, under General Skywalker, you were always on the offensive. And I thought,
You're going to learn a thing or two.
I thought it was funny. It's just bringing back to the Clone Wars where it's going to be like, it's going to be aggressive. There's going to be things that happen that you're like, that's not the Jedi way, especially from Anakin. You're going to see it constantly where he breaks rules and bends the rules and stuff like that. So I thought that was really funny that even the clones were like, what the fuck are we doing? He's like, you'll learn to be
Pretty
under
good
General
question, honestly.
Skywalker.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Anakin. But yeah, so basically they decloak, and as soon as it happens, Trench is like looking for it. He's looking for something, and they fire. What are they technically? They're like
torpedoes.
torpedo
That's what they
missiles.
call
That's torpedoes. Was what I was looking for. They fire torpedoes directly at the bridge, and obviously Trench pulls up his shields.
them. Right.
So the only thing with that is then they start sending a barrage of fire at this ship, to which Anakin was like, "Well, we'll just recloak. We'll figure it out." They sent missiles actually. They're like,
They did send missiles, and then they just started shooting rapid fire from the ship.
and so obviously Anakin, being the pilot he is moving this 400-foot long by 10-foot wide ship, and is swerving these freaking bullets like he's from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And then once they get through it, they're obviously decloaked, and the droid's like, well, we didn't hit anything, sir. So Trench is like, well, obviously we've learned one thing, and this is just showing the tactile genius he is. He's like, well, we learned one thing, and it's a clone's not flying that because they wouldn't have the instincts. It has to be a Jedi.
And since it is a Jedi, he is fully just ready for them to attack again.
Well, that's the thing. He was like, and it's like a weird Jedi because the Jedi chose to attack.
Right. He's
So
like,
he's
there's-
like-
he thought it was interesting that the Jedi decided to attack when he definitely had the same idea that he was supposed to just get supplies down to the surface. There was no way that he was supposed to attack there, especially in the ship that he has. It's not going to do that much damage to a star destroyer, basically.
And the balls on Trench to be like, set up an open comm. I'm going to call him.
Right.
He calls Anakin like, hey, we can track you. I've dealt with your kind of ships before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the balls on him.
Yeah. So the clone looked at the other clone, and he was like, he must have been able to do it because of the magnetic signature of the ship. So
No. That's,
the clone says it.
Anakin comes up with that.
I thought the clone came
No,
up
because
with it.
the clones state it. Because Anakin's talking to Obi-Wan and Admiral, and he's like, they're talking about ways that he could have been able to track it. And Anakin's like, maybe they do it by the magnetic force that the ship gives off. And once they start, so what happens is Anakin then uncloaks and fires again. And then Trench tells his command droid to lock onto the magnetic sensor of the field. Magnetic, what is it? Magnetic pulse signature.
They
Yeah,
said signature.
magnetic signature of the ship, to which they lock on.
Right.
And immediately Anakin's like, oh, they took the bait. And then the two clones go, they locked onto our magnetic signature.
Right. And then, well, so they have the shield up, right? But they can't fire with the shield up. So they have to put the shield down, and Anakin, being Anakin, he definitely, they didn't state that out loud, but Anakin obviously knew that they would have to take their shields down to be on the offensive. So they shoot the missiles at the magnetic signature. It follows the ship, and Anakin...
Whoa, you had to clarify that, though. Trench's ship took down their shields.
Yeah.
To where they could fire.
Well, I was just feeding off what you were saying.
Yeah, I don't know if we clarified that or not, though.
Yeah, so Trench had to lower his shield to where he could fire the or not his torpedoes, the
heat-seeking missile or
the missiles.
The missiles.
The missiles at
the lock-ons.
Yeah, the lock-on missiles to the magnetic signature. And Anakin knew this. He uncloaked to where he could have all the power go to the engines, so he could
divert all power to the engines.
So he could just basically run the ship almost right into the bridge to where.
I forgot when he was doing that he got so close he scraped it.
Mm-hmm.
He literally like teabagged to the top of the ship.
Yeah, and then obviously the bridge blew up. We know Anakin didn't blow up. Something was gonna blow up. We know it's not Anakin. He's one of the main characters. So
yeah, and it's one of those things that. Yeah, like Trench knew in the last second, like, oh fuck, and he was like, put the shields back up, and he was like, they're not his command droid was like, they're not recharged yet, so they ate some.
Well,
missiles.
no, they couldn't. It's not that they weren't recharged; they couldn't put the shield back up because of the missiles still being active. That's why they couldn't put the shield up.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, either way, it's either they weren't charged or it was because
I don't
of the
think
missiles.
you can just, like, on a ship like that, shut the shields off, turn the shields on, shut the shields off, turn the shields on.
Right. Well, I think it was because of the missiles, though, because they were still active.
Be.
But basically, so the bridge blows up, and then they land on the planet, and they get the supplies and, like, regroup. That was the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was Season 2, Episode 16.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, Season 2, Episode 16 is the first one chronologically.
All right, so...
So basically now we're moving on to the next episode in the arc, which is Season 1, Episode 16.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
It's almost like they were like, we're going to make one of these every 16th episode.
No. They just did it completely backwards because the movie released first, and then obviously Season 1 and then Season 2. They did it completely backwards in the arc.
And that's something about the Clone Wars that, like, is kind of weird. Like, if you don't, like... pay attention to that kind of stuff, like you'll notice I feel like we've been here before. It's like, yeah, because you have, but like they're just out of order.
It is really goofy. I don't know.
And now that's not always the case. There are times when they're 3 episodes in a row, or it'll be 2 episodes in a row, a break episode, and then another episode, and it'll be like 3 of those 4 episodes go together. But the Clone Wars jumps around.
I mean, yeah, you'll see on our next episode specifically, it's gonna jump to a weird place that we're like, okay, like why'd they film it? Or I guess I didn't film it, but why did they animate it this way? Why was it so out of order?
What?
I guess I'll find out on the next episode.
Oh, I thought you meant like the next episode we're getting ready to talk about.
The next,
you mean like
next
the
part of the series,
the next podcast.
Yeah. So Season 1, Episode 16 is Part 2.
All right, lay it down for me.
Truth enlightens the mind, but won't always bring happiness to your heart.
I mean, that one makes complete sense with what we're going to talk about.
So forget the story for a second. We get to see Cody, Rex, and Ventress for the first time in this episode. Chronologically in the timeline.
Oh, I was like, that's not the first time we saw Ventress.
Chronologically in the timeline, first time we get to see all 3 of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because I don't think Rex was not in the first episode.
Was he in the battle? No, he wasn't. He was a second gen clone. Or not a second gen, but he was a later gen. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. Because this would take place in between the second and third movie. Rex is not in the movies, obviously. And then Ventress is not in the movies.
But
Cody's
only
in the third
one.
movie, but he's not in the second one.
Which is, it's kind of like I never thought about how weird that was that Rex was never. I mean, technically he's in the sixth movie, but
yeah, so it's the first time we get to see all of them. Obviously, we were going to go through the story, and it's at different points. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. I was like, yeah, this is the first time we get to see all three of them. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so basically they're down. They already regrouped, and they're continuing the battle.
on Christophus still.
Yeah,
by the way.
Christophus. They're in the middle of the battle. They're at their like hideout points in two different buildings. And they're like watching the droids get like into position and stuff. And then they realize that the droids start separating, and they're wondering why, because they should have no idea that they're in these buildings right now. But somehow the droids know that they're in both buildings.
Yeah.
So you can go.
Yeah. So basically, like, kind of what he said. They start out in these two buildings, and they're basically planning on attacking the droids.
Mm-hmm.
And the droids are in this formation, and they typically go into a super basic like in a rectangular block marching to wherever they're going, and then all of a sudden they start splitting into different like groupings, and all of a sudden where like Obi-Wan realizes it and Anakin realizes it, but they're in two separate buildings, and I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan is in the south building, and they're moving, and then all of a sudden like two clones get shot in the back, and it's because the droids are already in the building with them, and they're like slowly like collapsing on them into the one room that they're in. So then there becomes an entire battle, and you see like Anakin calms Obi-Wan, and is like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" And he was like, "We're being ambushed." So like somehow they knew our plan,
Right.
and so yeah.
So Anakin, being as cool as he is, just decides to not parachute. What is that?
Grapple.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like what we
Zip line.
Zip line.
What we do. I mean,
What
technically
we do.
Batman grapples.
Yeah, because there's
Does that
Batman.
count?
I
I mean, we have grappling guns.
yeah. So they use their grappling guns and they zip line over to the other building,
Yeah.
to where they can. So Anakin can save Obi-Wan.
Yeah, so this goes back like immediately when I was watching this, I was thinking about, oh yeah, Anakin's so reckless. He literally breaks open this window on the 43rd floor or whatever the hell they're on. Tells
Star Wars, you have no clue how many floors there are.
tells all of his 501st to launch their cables across the slide. Loses like 5 guys on the way. Doesn't give a fuck.
A minimum of what we get to see. They lost 5 people.
That's what I'm saying. He's just like, I realized so quickly, he's been reckless since the beginning. He didn't give a fuck about these clones.
Mm-hmm. So they end up going to the roof to try to get away, because they don't really have any options. They're outnumbered so drastically, and ships come to pick them up on the roof. And Rex thought it was a good idea to go take the tactical droid's head off to try to see if they could look into the mind of the tactical droid.
Which ripped off way easier than I thought.
Nah, Rex is just that cool.
Well, good job.
But yeah, good job, buddy. Look, that one was for Christophsis. But so they take it back to their base and they try to like look at the mind of it and try to get it to like speak and try to figure out how they knew the plan. And they did actually hear the droids say they're in the north and south tower
On the 43rd floor.
Did it say 43?
I don't know.
He just wanted to
No,
make
someone said 43rd floor. I don't know if it was Anakin, Obi-Wan, or that droid. But so basically it's Anakin, Obi-Wan, Rex, and Cody are the only people in looking at this. Well, and R2. And basically they're trying to figure out, like, how the fuck did they know this? And they kind of figure out that there's, like, they're thinking, like, oh, like, somehow someone got in and they leaked our stuff. And or someone knew our battle plans from the outside who works for the Separatist. And then Anakin's kind of like, there's no way. Because even if they did, they wouldn't have known our intel. Like, how would they have gotten that intel? So they start to realize, like, hey, maybe there's a rat. and the two Jedi go on a mission, and they Cody, I'm pretty sure Cody realizes that there's a comm link that's open, and there's been someone listening to their conversation the entire time.
By the way, somebody was listening to the conversation that they were having on the comm, and they realized it the second Anakin Obi-Wan walked out of the room.
Yeah,
like it was the millisecond.
They were given the job to figure out what's going on, and as soon as the two people who could help them pretty easily leave, they figure something out.
So they actually reopen the door, and they see somebody like around the corner, and they start running. And it's kind of like dark in the hallways, which is weird. Why is it like dark as hell in the hallways?
Conserving power.
I
don't
know, but they start both chasing him, right? And then Cody and Rex, they circle around the different sides, and then they meet each other right in the middle. And the only thing that was there was the mess hall.
So they go into this mess hall filled with clones trying to find a clone.
Only clones. There's only clones in the mess hall.
Well, yeah, the Jedi don't eat.
They realized real quick that it was one of their brothers, which hit them really hard, really quick. But being the leaders and as good of clones as they are, they got themselves together really quick. I mean, they have to.
Yeah, so they go back to the command room, and they're basically working with R2D. I don't know. I was gonna say like his his documentation name, R2D2. No. So they start working with R2, and he's basically scanning the logs of the system to seeing like incoming and outgoing transmissions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they finally see that there's like this random transmission that like happens every couple of days. And so like at the exact same time, in the exact same terminal, there's someone who's using an outgoing message, and they're explaining that like this is so smart because like if they're just looking at all of the comms that go through, like a human or a clone wouldn't have figured this out for forever. The only reason they figured it out was because R2 was scanning through it. So they realize that it's coming from the specific clones like barracks with only a specific amount of his like clones, and it's a clone by the name of Slick.
Yeah,
which I'm assuming you guys know this. They all have funny names.
Meanwhile, with what he's saying, because it cuts back and forth in between what's going on, we get to see Anakin and Obi-Wan behind enemy lines, and they just are talking to each other, and it's funny. They're just being sassy to be sassy, just not even at each other, just in general. It's kind of funny. But he's like, I think we caught some friends as we're driving by, and Obi-Wan is like, yeah, the number of eyes have been growing on us the entire time we've been moving. And
it's almost like they were talking like someone was listening to them.
Right. They really were. I mean, we are. It's almost like they were trying to break the fourth wall, but not at the same time.
Kind of.
It was really weird how they like played that scene out.
All dialogues kind of just like.
Well, I thought it was funny because Anakin was like, "Well, that's unfortunate for them."
Well, that's unfortunate for them. So basically, they're going to the Separatist headquarters, though. Mm-hmm. They're trying to like figure out what's going on.
Right.
And so they arrive. No barricades, no troops, no nothing. And they were like, it looks like they want us to just walk through the front door. So that's exactly what they do because they're fucking idiots. Walk through the front door, walk through the next door, take the elevator, next door, nothing. Until they see a good old friend.
Yep.
By the way, Obi-Wan flirting.
Oh, yeah.
He's flirting.
Dude, they do it so much. It's ridiculous.
Would you?
No.
Would you?
No.
Venturous?
Got to see a live action version of her first.
Would you though?
No. I've had nightmares.
How many of you would?
I've had nightmares about her before.
What?
So she's like an assassin, right? We're talking about Ventress, if you guys didn't know that. But
well, I said her name.
No, you didn't. We did earlier, I guess, but we didn't just now. But so they ran into Ventress, and yeah, I've had a reoccurring nightmare about Ventress. So she's like an assassin, right? So, and then she'd be like later.
23-year-old, by the way.
Well, I haven't had it. I haven't had it.
You said
in a long
reoccurring
time.
like I had it last night.
I have had the dream multiple times, but she's like on a mission and I'm the target. I don't know why.
You're dead,
dude. So like in our living room, she burst through the living room with her.
We don't share a living room.
Well, right, but at our house, she bursts through the living room with her lightsabers and then just looks at me. And then, like, the dream's not very long because it scares the shit out of me every time.
Do the voice.
No. It's got to be like, I don't even know. It's weird.
We're going. I don't even know what
It
line
started not bad, but then you kind of fell off.
Yeah, because I don't know what line to say.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really weird.
Good to see you, Master Kenobi.
But yeah, I do have a reoccurring dream about that. So fun fact, guys.
You guys hear it all from us.
Yeah, I know, right? But so basically, we get to see them engage Ventress. Okay, well, it jumps back. You know, we love jumping back and forth in Star Wars. It's like reading a book right now. Like the episode just jumping back and forth, like in the books. It's ridiculous.
Star Wars loves that. They love to keep you like on your toes.
Mm-hmm. It keeps you engaged. You know what I mean? You have to be engaged to know what's going on, or you're gonna fall off the story real quick. But Cody and Rex get to Slick's barracks to interrogate the clones, and usually in interrogation you do it like one at a time by themselves, but they just. What?
Well, I was gonna say something,
but they just go at each clone individually, right in front of everybody else.
So it's been a while since I've seen this episode, and like when they started doing it, okay, I remember who it is, but I didn't remember how they went about it. So like, they go in and they're talking to Slick, and they explain like someone in your fucking little what do they call those?
Barracks.
I know, but like that's his team. But like, what do they call it? Someone in your squad. Someone in your squad is a mole, is a rat, and Slick's kind of like, no, like, just let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. And it's like, okay. And then they didn't give a fuck. They had already called in all of his squad. So.
And then obviously they go one by one with the interrogations. They all have good alibis, except for the one that lied about his alibi because he was stealing.
Droid fingers, which I think is a funny callback to war.
Yeah.
So, if you guys don't know, so like obviously the droids have little fingers, and this guy was making like a necklace of little droid fingers, which is fucking weird. But so basically that's based off of like, the best example I'm gonna explain is like Vietnam. So when the United States troops were in Vietnam, they were obviously, a lot of them got drafted and they were crazy son of a bitches. Our grandpa went to Vietnam. They would actually go up to the Viet Cong and they would cut their ears off of like, it was kind of like collecting dog tags of people you killed. But so they were collecting the ears of the people that they had killed. And so this is kind of like I wouldn't say paying homage because it's not like it's a good thing, but
right.
But
I mean, it's illegal. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. They state that they're like you're taking illegal.
Oh, I was talking about cutting people's ears off.
Yeah, obviously. But then
it's got dark quick. We need to get out of here.
Yeah. But the entire time they're interrogating everybody, Slick kept like interrupting Rex and Cody, and being like, "Just let me talk to them for a second. Just let me talk to them."
And like, I get it. You're concerned for your squad, and like, you don't want the person who's the rat or the mole to like. I mean, you know these guys, and he explains that he's like, we eat together, we sleep together, we're on the field together, like we like are brothers more than like we're brothers to everyone.
Yeah.
And so like he said, they go through, this guy cleans his gun, this guy goes to the mess hall, this guy accompanied him in the mess hall, this one guy went and he had to go to the infirmary because he had injuries, and then the last guy he was saying was collecting droid toes and fingers, was like, yeah, but I went to the south exit, everybody else went to the mess hall or the barracks, but Slick, his squad leader, you went to the command center. Why'd you go there? You're the only one who went that way, but why'd you go?
And, well, so right before that, Slick started blaming Chopper. That was his name. Chopper was the one that was taking...
Was it Chopper?
It was Chopper. I got that name down. I didn't get all the other clones' names down. But Chopper was the one taking the battle droid fingers. And Slick started, like, blaming Chopper. And then Chopper... Well, hold on. Slick was like, so when the Jedi get back, we're going to confront the Jedi.
The Jedi are going to confront you when they get back.
And then, obvious what you said with Chopper said everything that he
Chopper
said. Chopper
kind of like shoves him and gets in his face like, "What? Where were you?"
Right.
And so obviously Cody and Rex step in.
Cody and Rex step in and was like, "Slick, what do you mean when the Jedi get back?" because nobody knew about the mission, right? That was the whole point of just the 4 of them knowing, and then R2, obviously. But Slick was like, I really wish you didn't hear that. And then he just
fucking throws a fucking elbow into Chopper and then into Cody.
Yeah.
So
Cody did dude, whoever got hit,
Cody got rocked.
hard. Like knocked him on his ass hard. But Slick basically just revealed himself in front of everybody because he gave himself up on accident. But yeah. So, I mean, everything, like, beforehand was Slick interrupting, Slick trying to be like, oh, let me talk to them first. Like, Slick would just make sense.
He was trying to he was trying to figure out a way he could, like, get everybody's story to blame somebody.
Mm-hmm. So they started chasing Slick around everywhere. It's just a cat and mouse chase right now. They're just running around everywhere. And they get outside to where, like, all their tanks and stuff
The weapons
depot. And they see him on like one of their like little things that they have. They can like see that somebody's ahead, and they run up to where it says that Slick is, and then it's a bomb, and then he blows up like 90% of the shit out there.
Yeah, he blows up a ton. Yeah. I think they said he blew up everything besides like the heavy cannons.
Yeah,
that they say that later on. But.
Right.
And then he went running back into the command center area, and so Cody and Rex obviously follow him in, and when you walk in, obviously as viewers, they show us where he's at. Right. He's up in the like air ventilation system, and he's like above the main like command board. And so they walk in and they kind of like notice where you can see where he like took a step in there and like climbed up the table and jumped up into the system. And so they play a little trick game on him. And so what happens is Cody's like, oh, you know, like we're going to go do this and I need to check this out. And then he like sits his blaster down on top of the command table and goes over to look at some of the command boards and pull up schematics and all kinds of other stuff. And Rex is like, yeah, I'm going to go leave and look over here. And he walks out of the room, shuts the door, and then just sits outside of the door.
Yeah.
And then Slick, being the clone he is, got out of the vent system, falls down, and then grabs the gun and points it at the back of Cody's head. You want me to keep going? You want to go?
I mean, you can keep going.
So then Cody goes, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was says, like,
hey, buddy. I think that's what he said.
Hey, Slick. He calls him Slick.
Does he say Slick or buddy?
I don't know.
I don't remember. It was either Slick or
buddy.
Hey,
brother. I don't know.
I don't remember. I feel like it'd be...
We're good at our job.
Yeah, right.
I think he's like, hey, Slick. And he was like... I forget what Slick said, too. But anyways, the whole premise of it is that Cody then shows him his magazine that he took out, because he took out, so I don't know if you know this or not, but all of the clones, like, obviously they shoot blasters, but they have like energy packs. Like, they have to reload technically.
Right.
But so when you ever hear a droid be like, oh, we're low on ammo, and he's like, they fire fucking like blasters. Like, what are you talking about?
I actually saw like a short about this the other day. I was talking about it, and it's an energy like pack thingy, and then it can have like 500 rounds in it.
That has a shit ton of energy in it.
But the biggest problem with it is that they overheat versus like losing like don't have enough ammo. But it said that they can get up to like 500.
Yeah.
But most of the problem is that they overheat.
So basically, like, obviously Cody caught him, and then Rex comes in and points his blaster, and then Slick's still putting up a fight, fucking rocks Rex, and steals his blaster.
They get into a 2v1, like, hella fist fight. And not gonna lie, like, obviously Rex and Cody aren't going 100% to start out with, because they don't want to like hurt him. It's still their brother, right? And they're still treating him that way because they're like hoping for some kind of good side still in him. But Slick just starts beating the shit out of him. Like, realistically,
pulling out like mixed martial arts and stuff.
He gets good ass hits on both of them. I don't know how they like were still like 100% ready to go. Like, they were getting hit hard. But Slick put up a pretty good fight, but ultimately they ended up stopping him. But the entire fight, Slick keeps talking about how they're just like enslaved to the Jedi and how they don't have any freedom and stuff. And
I did this for my brothers to where my brothers could be free.
Right.
And so they walk out of the room, and that's when the Jedi get back. And the Jedi are kind of shocked.
Right.
Like, Obi-Wan's like, it's Slick who did it? Because, like, obviously, like, the Jedi know a lot of the clones, but they're going to know, like, the squad leaders and the captains, the generals, and they're gonna know those like commanders. They're gonna know those people better. So like Obi-Wan knew Slick by name and face. So yeah, and they were kind of like I think Anakin was like, we're disappointed in you or something like.
He's like, how could you do this to your brothers?
Yeah,
that's what Anakin says to him, and he was like, that's something a Jedi would say. We're just expendable to you guys.
Yeah,
and then
it's funny because we just talked about how Anakin was
right.
expending no.
This isn't the first time we'll see something like this. But yeah, so that's basically how the episode ends. So that episode ends there. And now we're starting with the movie. We're not going to go over the whole movie today. So there is some stuff in the intro that we're going to talk about like a little bit later in a different episode because it has nothing to do with the Battle of Christophsis. But we're going to continue on with the movie that has to do with Christophsis, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the movie probably in the next episode. But there is no quote at the beginning of the movie. I was kind of sad about it. I was like, man, they did have a longer intro for the movie, though, to give you more background and more context.
No.
But, so we get to see the Jedi, like, on Coruscant, and they are talking about how they just took over Christophsis, which is not the case. They kind of lost communication with them, and the last time they talked to them made it seem like they were done with the battle, and that was not the case. The droids came in with a huge second wave.
Yeah.
And Anakin and Obi-Wan were not that prepared for it because they don't have anything now. All the weapons depot was 90% like blown up.
Slick did exactly what he was supposed to do as an informant. He destroyed your weapons and he infiltrated like your intel.
Yeah, and I thought it was crazy. So like the battle starts pretty much instantly, and it's like heavy fire. And instantly, I wrote this down because I thought it was important with what just happened in the episode with Slick. We get to see a lot of clones die really fast.
Yeah.
Like they just start dropping
like flies.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I had to write that down. I was like, this is what Slick was talking about. Like, they're just expendable. Yeah. They get born and raised to just die.
And see, this is something that I guess he doesn't also realize because they're not like in the Jedi Temple like area, like up towards the council meetings. But like, that's kind of what the council also does to the Jedi Knights. Mm-hmm. They're cared for more, but it's not like the clones where they can just print more.
Right.
The clones are like money in our real world. Mm-hmm. If you run out, you print more.
Right.
And like the clone's DNA is like inflation.
Right. But so we basically there's a ship that comes in and they're like, oh, reinforcements must have arrived, which kind of wasn't the case, but kind of was.
A reinforcement.
Yeah, a singular. But that's not even what she came for. So we get to see Ahsoka for the first time on screen.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano.
Everybody's all of a sudden favorite character.
Right.
Oh, my bad. I'm just throwing shade.
But it's funny because she says, you guys need to get back to Coruscant for this other mission. And they're like, can you see what's going on right now? We can't leave right now.
Wait a minute. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
No. What?
Nothing.
Oh.
But
so yeah, this is one of the. I remember watching this as a kid and it being funny, like this just scene because it's like, I'm here to be like someone's Padawan, and I can't remember the exact like Anakin's like, Obi-Wan, they given you another Padawan already, and like she's just like, no, Master Yoda sent me to be your Padawan. And he's like, whoa, I wasn't ready for kids. I'm heading out. Like this can't be possible.
And then the first two times we get to hear the nicknames, and she's like, "You're stuck with me, Sky Guy."
Dude, I've always wanted to talk about this. What a terrible nickname.
And then
that's like every like I feel like if you're dating like if you're a guy and you're dating a girl, like I feel like every girlfriend has like a super Sky Guy ass nickname for their boyfriend. And like you know it, like you can share it in the comments if you want, but everybody's like girlfriend has one for them that you hate.
And immediately Anakin comes back at her with, "Don't be snippy with me." And I
Yeah, a
was like,
20-year-old yelling at or an 18-year-old yelling at a 13-year-old.
yeah.
Don't be snippy with me. I don't know why I did that accent.
So Ahsoka is talking to Captain Rex, and she's like, "So if you're a captain and I'm a general, technically I outrank you." And then the famous line from Captain Rex, "In my book, experience outranks everything." And
That's my dad.
it's not even like he was trying to be mean about it. He was just like, "Nah, this is just how it's gonna."
He's got that
have to be."
Anakin attitude.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, anytime you get around Anakin, you become a snappy little bitch. You know.
Yeah.
He's having a hard time reading his own notes.
But so they have to come up with a plan, and they realize that the second wave has a shield generator on it, and all they have is their heavy cannons, which can't really do much of moving. They're designed to be stayed back and just blow shit up from a distance.
During mortar strikes.
But so they're coming up with a plan, and Anakin and Ahsoka are sent off to go try to disable it. Great first mission. Just, right behind enemy lines, right in the middle of everything.
We're going to test to see if you know what you're doing.
Right.
It's been a long time.
So Anakin's like, only if you can disguise yourself as a droid. And they come up with a brilliant idea to be just sitting under a box. They're just under like this crate, and they're pretending to be this weird looking droid. And I thought it was funny. The droids were just marching, and they just kick it and almost fall over and shit because they're not paying attention to the ground, obviously. But I think it's weird we don't see very much of that. They just stumbled, they're walking so machinery. But I feel like later on we get to see them move, and they are more not athletic, but they have more
so it's kind of similar to the clones training. The battle droids get better over time. They start to get more personality, and they have more instincts.
Okay.
They're not just beep, 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 beep. Actually, I mean, even early on, the command battle droids can talk and have personality.
Yeah.
I still love. I just got a promotion.
We'll get there, but yeah. So Anakin.
Oh no, I just got promoted. I fucked up that one.
Yeah. Anakin and Ahsoka are just under this crate, and Obi-Wan and the clones are struggling really bad right now to keep up with everything that's going on because they're outnumbered really bad.
I feel like a lot of their plans consist of Obi-Wan and his battalion getting ruined and Anakin just doing fun shit.
Well, Anakin's was with him as well.
I know, but 501st is the 501st.
Technically, yeah. But yeah, they get
Obi-Wan always says dog shit troops.
Right. So Ahsoka's this is hurting my back and shit like that. She's just bitching about the fucking thing. And he's like, fine, let's stand up. And then they stand up, and then they fucking run into a I think it's funny. Ahsoka calls them rolling death balls.
Rolling death balls.
Droidicas. But yeah, they run into them, and then they have to fight them, which isn't great for them.
Yeah. There's only one way to beat those.
Right.
It's either you got to drop a bunch of shit on them, or you got to slide under them.
Right.
And that sucks.
So they start to run away, and they start rolling at him, right? And then, well, right before that, Anakin's like, run. And she's like, Jedi, don't run. And he's like, I said run. And then it starts rolling, and he's like, Ahsoka, stop. And she doesn't stop running. He's like, Ahsoka, stop. And she's like, which one is it? And then they both slash their lightsabers at the droidicas rolling because they don't have the shield up when they're rolling, obviously. And that's how they destroy them. I just thought it was funny. She's like, can you just make up your mind? She's definitely not. She's like, make a plan, stick to it. And he's like, kind of make a plan, roll with it.
Roll with it. That was a nice pun. That was good.
Yeah. But so meanwhile, Obi-Wan's getting just destroyed. And he's getting destroyed.
Getting plowed.
He surrenders, which he doesn't really surrender, but he surrenders. War crimes?
Yeah. I don't know if you know this or not. They commit a lot. I mean, the one thing about it is they're fighting artificial things.
Well, he surrenders to the general. which they never said his name, so I didn't get that down watching the episode.
Yeah.
Or watching the movie, I guess. But I never got that at all. So they're basically just negotiating. He's like, let's negotiate and be civilized about this. And I thought it was funny. It's just like,
Well, if
dialogue.
negotiations don't end, you never negotiate.
Right. But it just was a callback to like dialogue from the movies. And it was funny. I thought it was funny. So they're like bullshitting negotiating while Anakin and Ahsoka are trying to destroy the shield generator. And they're like looking at it, and it looks too easy to get to, right? Obviously. And Ahsoka's like, let's go. And Anakin's like, no, wait. And then she sets off the booby trap that was there, obviously, which was these just massive ass. I don't even know what kind of droids they were.
Yeah.
I didn't look them up either, but they're just these massive droids. And she's just standing there while Anakin's just getting all the blaster bolts at him. And
she realizes very early on that war is not the Jedi Academy training.
No. And she's like, I could use some help over here. And she was like, don't move, which I thought was crazy. And she just slammed down this like brick wall that I don't know why the fuck it was just sitting there, but it was a brick wall to like a side of a building, and there was no building.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is because half the city's ruined.
I mean, I guess, but like it's just a brick wall to like a side of a building that had this hole
yeah, this
in it.
planet is bombed.
Right.
Like we talked about it in the first episode where they sent those droids in, those droid bombers, and they just blowing up the city. So like that, like the buildings is like half buildings. The windows are busted. There's just shit everywhere. It's a battlefield.
So yeah. So anyways, Ahsoka yells at Anakin and says not to move, and then she just slams down this wall that had this hole perfectly for where he was, that crushed all the droids. But then he just popped through the hole, and he's like, "You could have got me killed." And then we cut back to Obi-Wan. He's having these negotiations, and the general's just getting fucking pissed off. He's like, dude, what the hell? He's like, can we get drinks and stuff like this? And he's over here like with his spoon and his tea glass and just like, so like, what are we going to do about shelter for my clones? And it's just like, it's just funny. And then Yoda actually arrives with all of the reinforcements, and Obi-Wan decides to like unsurrender.
Well, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Our negotiations are over.
Yeah. And at the same time was when Ahsoka had placed down the charges, and they blew up the shield generator. So the shield generator went down. And yeah, they just, after that, the
reinforcements, Sky Guy.
Yeah, the reinforcements came, and they took care of the droids. So we get to see a scene where Ahsoka's like sitting there, and she's like kind of upset and kind of just like probably like tired as well. Like, she just had she's 13.
Her back still hurts.
She's 13. She's 13 or 14. Maybe she's 14. But anyway, still super young. To be right
especially
out there.
for her age. I don't know if you guys know this, but her species lives to be like 230, 250.
Right, and she's supposed to be like moving up from a youngling already. And it's like, whoa, like she's super young for her species. And then on top of that, just super young for war.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there, and Anakin sits next to her and has like this moment with her. And he says, I quoted it, I wrote it all down. "You reckless little one. You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan."
In Anakin's voice.
Yeah.
No, come on.
"You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might just make it as mine." And I thought that was a really nice moment between. Yeah, I know. I heard it, and I was like, damn. So Anakin and Ahsoka get back with Obi-Wan and Yoda, and Yoda's like, Obi-Wan was just telling me about how you're not ready to have a Padawan and stuff like that. And he was basically about to just unassign Ahsoka to him. And Anakin becomes defensive about it. He's like, no, I think I'm going to keep her.
I'll keep her around.
Yeah.
Use her as a dummy.
And it was funny because I don't remember what Obi-Wan said. And Anakin's like, you know what? I think this was just your plan all along, wasn't it? And then you get to see this smirk from Obi-Wan, and he looks at Yoda, and then
subtleties.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to stop.
Yeah, so we're going to continue doing these.
We're going to go arc by arc in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, which is a lot. So, yeah, this will probably be something you guys will see, probably every couple of weeks.
Yeah. Once we get deeper into the Clone Wars and stuff, there's going to be things that we're going to want to talk about. Like, here's a dark side moment from Anakin where it's like, all right, this was like a turning point. This was just another thing to add to the list, stuff like that. There's definitely points where it's like not just 100% Clone Wars story. There's definitely more points within the stories where we get to see Anakin edge just even closer.
And we're going to talk about a lot of characters.
Yeah, there's going to be so many characters, so many new characters, so many characters that we've seen that we get to see more of. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot to go over. So this is part 1 out of question amount of parts. I have no idea. I did not look at that.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know why he said part 1.
Yeah,
this is just episode 1.
But all right. This has been Mind Trick Media. Thanks, guys.